Do you want to be a fighter?
RMC.
There's only one Tyson Fury.
Fighters Club.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
Alexandre Herbinet.
I am the greatest.
Bonjour à toutes, bonjour à tous et bienvenue à un nouveau numéro du RMC Fighter Club, un Fighter Club qui continue de vous faire monter vers le choc du week-end UFC 285 à Las Vegas. Ciryl Gane contre la légende Jon Jones pour le titre UFC des poids lourds. On y est, ou presque, ce week-end. Donc à Las Vegas, le MMA français va vivre le moment le plus important de son histoire. 13 mois après l'échec contre Francis Ngannou, Ciryl Gane retrouve une chance pour le titre des lourds de l'UFC en main event de l'UFC 285 face à un homme considéré par beaucoup comme le meilleur de l'histoire dans sa discipline, Jon Jones. Pour se parer d'un or incontesté à l'UFC, ce qui serait une première pour un Français, notre bon gamin national va devoir faire tomber une légende. Mais comment faire pour gravir l'Everest? Avant le choc tant attendu, le RMC Fighter Club reçoit un combattant qui a déjà fait chuter un monstre, Weidman, ancien champion des moyens qui avait mis fin en 2013 au règne et aux 7 années d'invincibilité du Brésilien Anderson Silva.
Donc bienvenue dans ce numéro spécial une nouvelle fois du RMC Fighter Club. On est avec Joe qui est avec moi comme d'habitude. Salut mon Joe.
Salut, oui, salut.
Et comme vous pouvez le voir à l'écran ou comme vous allez pouvoir l'entendre en son, on est avec et on a l'honneur d'être avec Monsieur Weidman, l'ancien champion des moyens de l'UFC, l'homme qui a terrassé le monstre Anderson Silva en 2013, c'était il y a 10 ans quasiment, alors a vaincu depuis 7 ans et 16 victoires de suite à l'UFC. Il a fait tomber le monstre et comme on s'approche de Ciryl Gane contre Jon Jones, notre Français qui doit faire tomber son monstre pour devenir champion des poids lourds à l'UFC, on avait envie d'interroger Chris sur ce thème de comment on fait tomber un monstre. So Chris, a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks a lot for your time, my man. I know you're preparing a grappling fight. We're going to talk about that also. Chris, tu prépares un combat de grappling à venir. C'est dans le tournoi invitationnel Polaris. C'est le 11 mars à Doncaster en Angleterre. On va en parler aussi avec Joe. Tu vas affronter Owen Livesey. You're going to be against Owen Livesey for this big fight, 11 March. In England. First of all, it's a comeback. We left you with that horrible broken leg in 2021 in the UFC against Uriah Hall, and it was horrible to see, my man. So, first of all, can you give me some news about that? Est-ce que tu peux nous donner des nouvelles? On t'avait laissé avec ton genou, ta jambe brisée contre Uriah Hall en 2021 à l'UFC. Comment ça va la jambe et comment s'est passée la convalescence? Je sais que tu as eu 2 opérations. I know you had 2 surgeries on that leg. So, how is it, my man? How are you?
I'm doing good. You do a great job in French. I understood every bit of it. I like hearing the language go. My leg has been it's been a long process, and ESPN's doing a documentary on my whole recovery. So that will be coming out before my next UFC fight. And once they, I think they want to tell that whole story. So I really can't divulge too much when it comes to what's been going on with it, but it's been a very long recovery, multiple surgeries and issues going on. And I'm excited for this grappling match with Owen to kind of just get some of the competitive juices flowing again, and while I'm still getting my leg going and kind of segueing into a UFC fight. I think it would be a fun way to kind of get like a pre-camp into an actual fight.
Chris, c'est un plaisir de t'avoir vraiment. Moi, la question que j'ai, c'est que tu acceptes un combat contre un opposant qui est dangereux, Owen Livesey. Pour que nos auditeurs comprennent, c'est quelqu'un qui s'est qualifié pour la DCC, qui sort au premier tour, mais qui est sorti par Gane-Jones, qui est le vainqueur de la catégorie, et qui ensuite, dans son combat d'après, il bat Josh Inger, qui est quand même un opposant sérieux. Donc là, en fait, pour que les gens comprennent bien, tu vas affronter quelqu'un de très fort. Comment ça s'est passé la préparation purement grappling? So Chris, you're coming back against a tough opponent. Owen Livesey just did the ADCC, lost in the first round against Gane-Jones, who ultimately won the competition. He came back and beat Josh Inger, who is a serious competitor in grappling. How did you prepare to face such a high-level opponent in grappling?
Just I guess grappling. I just grapple a lot. And I did go down to train with the guys at New Wave in Austin, Texas, John Danaher and Gordon Ryan and that whole crew down there. I think they're the best guys in the world. John Danaher is a Renzo Gracie guy, and we're both black belts under him. And I've trained with Danaher throughout the years for a long time. So when I got offered this grappling match opportunity, I was like, you know what, let me go try to work on my jiu-jitsu a little bit, because I honestly, down here, I'm in North Carolina now, I just focus more on MMA, not really much just straight jiu-jitsu. So it's good to just get a week out there, see kind of some of the new things that they're working on, and see how the sport's evolved, and just learn a bunch from it. So yeah, and that's it, man. Just this is like a healthy way for me to stay in shape and get back into a competition. I know he's a big, strong, tough guy. Really good judo, jiu-jitsu, and I'm expecting a tough fight, but yeah, I'm not gonna stop coming. So we'll see what happens.
Chris, je sais que c'est pas spécialement la spécialité justement de Wenlize de faire des clés de talon, mais tu reviens d'une grave blessure à ta jambe. Est-ce que t'as une petite crainte quand même comme ça, parce que tu sais que le grappling a beaucoup évolué et que ça se penche beaucoup sur tout ce qui est clé de jambe. Et est-ce que justement t'es pas anxieux vis-à-vis de ta blessure récente? So Chris, I know it's not one biggest specialty, but the grappling game has evolved a lot for the last years. It's very, very a lot of leg locks. And with your recent injuries on your leg, aren't you afraid to put it in danger again?
No, I'm not. No, there actually is no leg locks in this grappling match.
Oh, okay.
So that was even my thing. Like they hilarious when they reached out to me. Apparently when the UFC fighters do the grappling, they usually take out the leg locks, just because the chance of possibly getting injured is not worth it. You're not getting paid as much money to grapple as you are fighting, so you don't want to mess up your fights and stuff just by getting caught in something stupid happening. So they take out leg locks, and yeah, so I'm not really worried about that at all.
Okay.
Chris, on va passer à notre thème sur notre combat entre Ciryl Gane et Jon Jones, mais juste avant, dernière question sur ta situation quand même. On t'a dit, on t'a quitté à l'UFC en 2021 depuis la fin de l'aventure avec l'UFC. Est-ce que tu continues quand même en MMA? L'idée, c'est de continuer une carrière en MMA. L'idée, c'est de se faire plaisir un peu en grappling. Comment tu te situes par rapport à ça? So Chris, we left you, like I told, in 2021 in the UFC. Obviously, it was the end of the road in that organization, but you are 38. How do you see the future for you? Do you want to stay in MMA? Do you want to maybe go take some pleasure in grappling matches like you're going to do in Polaris? What is the future for you, my man?
No, the future, I'm still with the UFC, and the future is to come back and fight somebody in the top 15 and make a big splash, surprise some people. The people who are at the top of the division right now in the middleweight division, I like my style matchup with them. So the goal is to shock the world and get there once again. And I know I'm 38, and I've been through a lot. Obviously, this leg being one of the issues. I've had a total of 29 surgeries, and I'm going to just show that, and just hopefully inspire a lot of people that no matter what happens, you come back from it. Sometime in the early summer. No date in particular, no opponent, particularly, but sometime in the early summer, I think I'll be good to go.
J'ai un adversaire pour toi, si tu veux. Il s'appelle Nassourdine Imavov. Il est français, il est dans le top 15. Ah ouais. Si tu veux nous offrir ce combat, on est content. We have an opponent for you, my man. We have Nassourdine Imavov, a French fighter.
Yeah, he's tough. Yeah.
Tu prendrais le combat? That's a fight you would take?
I don't know. I know who did he just fight?
Strickland.
Strickland.
What's he ranked? Oh, Sean Strickland. That's right.
He's top 10. Nassourdine is top 11.
13. 13 for 13e, 12e.
Hey, it's a possibility. We'll see.
That's a good matchup for you.
You think so?
He's a striker.
He's more of a striker, right? Yeah, he doesn't have as much wrestling. Yeah, that might be it. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see. I got to talk to the UFC.
Ça serait un bon test pour Nassourdine d'affronter un lutteur du calibre de Chris. Et pour Chris, ça sera un bon match-up aussi. That would be a good test for a Frenchman to fight against a high-level grappler like you, and a good matchup for you, statistically.
All right. Might happen. Thanks
And
for
you
setting it
already
up.
know how to speak some French, so that's good.
Comme ci, comme ça.
Comme ça.
Ok, Chris, on va passer au thème qui nous tient aussi à cœur. On est content d'avoir de tes news, bien sûr, mais c'est ce combat entre Ciryl Gane et Jon Jones ce samedi soir à Las Vegas, UFC 285, la ceinture des poids lourds de l'UFC en jeu. C'est le plus gros combat de l'histoire du MMA français et de loin. Et on voulait t'interroger sur cette idée de comment on abat le monstre, puisqu'il s'attaque à ce que beaucoup considèrent comme le GOAT, Jon Jones, comme un des plus grands de l'histoire en tout cas. Et toi, tu as fait tomber un des plus grands de l'histoire, Anderson Silva, en juillet 2013, UFC 162, avec cette victoire qui a choqué le monde. Anderson Silva avait 7 ans d'invincibilité, 16 victoires de suite à l'UFC. Raconte-nous déjà, c'est quoi ton premier souvenir de cette soirée magique?
Well, just the mental fortitude it took to, stay confident walking to that octagon, against a guy who I watched completely crush people for so many years. And it was a fight I wanted for so many years. So, and next thing I know, I'm there and I'm doing it. So I just wanted to live up to everything I was saying and what I believe, and to not let my confidence waver. And then, obviously, knocking him out with the left hook was a shocker for me. I expected to submit him, ground and pound him, something like that. I thought I was going to finish him, but to knock him out, a guy who's so good on the feet, and he would let people punch him and kind of mess with people and just dominate everybody. So for me to knock him out, it was just a very amazing feeling. And then, after all the years I've been competing, from wrestling to MMA, I finally accomplished like my ultimate goal of becoming a world champion. So it was indescribable. It was great.
Ça, c'est pour Chris, ça, c'est pour le soir du combat. Mais moi, j'aimerais te poser la question sur ta préparation. Comment on se prépare? Quel état d'esprit on doit adopter quand on se prépare à affronter un mec aussi impressionnant?
Yeah, it's just it's a constant battle within your own mind, really. It's really all mental. He's another human being, and all you do is work out as hard as you can every single day and be the best version of yourself. And you can't beat the goal is not to beat yourself mentally. So every day when you start having doubts and you start thinking negatively and you start thinking, I'm crazy to think I could win, and all these natural things that always pop into people's heads before any big fight or contest or event, that you start having doubts, to just override it with positive thoughts. Don't let those thoughts win. And so you just win the self-talk argument.
Est-ce que dans ton camp, ça a fait partie d'une préparation un peu plus que d'habitude? Est-ce qu'il y a eu un travail aussi mental autant que technique pour faire passer ce petit cap de se dire, ce mec-là, on peut le battre malgré l'aura d'invincibilité qu'il a? During your preparation for that fight with Anderson Silva, the first one, was there more than usual some mental preparation by your camp, by your trainers or your coaches, about telling you and about maybe making sure that you would tell yourself, I can beat that guy, and this guy, even with the aura and the invisibility vibe that he has around him, we can beat him, and I will beat him?
Yeah. It was really just like my coaches just believed in me. They thought I was going to run right through him. They didn't care about how good he was. They just believed in me that much, and that helped me believe in myself as well. And we brought in great sparring partners. We had our guys, with their hands down, talking trash and messing with me, just to emulate what I could possibly see inside the octagon with Anderson Silva. I just felt super prepared.
Ouais, c'est impressionnant parce qu'on va rappeler pour les gens qui découvrent le sport depuis pas si longtemps que ça en France, qu'Anderson Silva, quand on parle de GOAT, pour moi, personnellement, c'est le numéro 1. Parce que avec son style, avec son striking, mais que quand Chris le bat, il est pas du tout favori en fait. On a l'impression que ça va être une autre défense facile pour Anderson Silva. Et Chris, du coup, moi je me demande, est-ce que le fait d'être dans la peau d'un underdog, de quelqu'un qui n'est pas favori comme ça, est-ce que ça facilite la vie? Chris, I was just reminding all the new fans of MMA in France that Anderson Silva was like a genius in the cage. But I was wondering, the fact that when the fight got announced, many people thought it would be another easy defense for Anderson Silva against the fresh new guy, but still Anderson would beat you. How does it feel to be an underdog like this?
Well, I expected it. You're going against the greatest of all time,
Does it help?
Huh?
Did it help
Did it help?
to be an underdog? You know, to get ready mentally.
Yeah, because I mean, when you have a strong self-belief in yourself and you truly think you're going to win, and you got doubters and everyone thinking you're going to lose, it actually excites you even more because you're like, oh my gosh, I can't shock these people and just prove them wrong. So it's
you see the difference. You see the difference. You're telling us that you were sure you were about to win, and you could also be like, yeah, I have nothing to lose. If I lose, it's nothing bad. So you are with this mindset. You have nothing. You're gonna win. You were not thinking about losing, right?
Yeah, no, I wasn't thinking of losing. Of course, you have self-doubt. You know, there's moments and times and where bad things pop into your head. You imagine yourself, you know, maybe getting knocked out or whatever it is. But then you just override that with positive thoughts. And for the majority of my, you know, like camp and stuff like that, it was just, you know, train as hard as I possibly can. And as long as I was working out and killing myself in the gym, I was just like, there's nobody training harder than me. Nobody deserves to beat me. So I didn't care if he was.
Yeah. Est-ce qu'au deuxième combat, donc après le premier combat, on rappelle où tu mets KO Anderson Silva, il y a beaucoup de gens qui pensent qu'Anderson Silva perd le combat tout seul parce qu'il fait un peu le cool. Est-ce que tu avais ce même état d'esprit au moment de l'affronter une seconde fois? So for the second fight, how did you feel? Did you have the same mindset?
Same mindset. I won the fight, and then I had a scheduled vacation in Hawaii. And then I ended up coming home from Hawaii early because Anderson Silva, he started training right away. As soon as like a week afterwards, we had the rematch announced already. And so I'm like,
okay.
all right, I gotta beat this guy again. And I expected that we were gonna fight again. And so I just started like getting panicky on vacation because I wasn't training. And I saw Anderson Silva, I think he went to Thailand or something to start training already. And I was like, oh man, I gotta get on my A game here and make sure, you know, I beat him again. And I came back home and started training really hard. And yeah.
Tu penses, Chris, qu'il donne toujours une revanche à ce genre de grand? C'est-à-dire que si Ciryl gagne, si Ciryl bat Jon, qu'il lui inflige sa première vraie victoire, ils lui donneront une revanche. Do you think that for those greats like Anderson Silva, like Jon Jones, the UFC always give them those rematch? I mean, if Ciryl beats Jon Jones on Saturday, you think the UFC would give him the rematch because he's Jon Jones?
I think it depends on how that fight goes because Jon Jones is not the champion at heavyweight. This is his first time going up. He hasn't fought in over 3 years. You know, he's known for how good he is at 205, and even in his last 3 fights, he looked beatable. You know, arguably he lost to Thiago Santos. Arguably he lost to Dominic Reyes. So if he goes up in a weight class, then Ciryl Gane just runs right through him. Who really all right, Jon Jones doesn't look good at heavyweight. Let's move on. Now Ciryl Gane fights a Stipe Miocic, or maybe Jon Jones fights Stipe, and then there's other guys around that you could make, you know, fun fights with. So I don't think it's a guarantee Jon Jones is getting a rematch at heavyweight, but if he would have lost to any of those guys at 205, like a Dominic Reyes, that definitely would have been an immediate rematch.
Mais toi-même, tu étais. Vas-y.
Je voulais savoir, ça c'est une question qu'on a posée à Ciryl et il avait du mal à répondre alors qu'il est pas un des plus grands fans, un passionné de MMA, mais il avait du mal à répondre à ça. Qu'est-ce qui était le plus important au final? C'était remporter la ceinture ou battre le très grand comme Jon Jones, ce serait pour Ciryl. We asked that same question to Ciryl Gane and he couldn't really answer, even though he's not a huge fan of MMA, a huge long-time fan. But we asked him what would be the greatest feeling, to be the champion of the world or to have beaten Jon Jones, to have beaten the great one. For you, 10 years ago, which was the better? To finally be the middleweight champion of the world, or to have beaten Anderson Silva first time in 7 years and beaten that streak?
It's hard to say, to be honest. I think if I were to do it all over again, it's just about, I think, winning the belt for me. Becoming a world champion is probably the most important thing, because that was a goal that I set out for myself when I got into MMA. I was only doing it to become a world champion, and Anderson Silva being the champion at the time just made it that much more exciting to do it. It was like hitting 2 birds with 1 stone type thing.
Cherry on the cake, yeah.
but the being a champion was always the main thing.
Et quand on parle de Jon Jones, Chris, il y avait des rumeurs à un moment pour faire un super fight entre toi et Jones. Comment tu penses que ça se serait déroulé? And talking about Jones, there were rumors at the time about a fight with Jones and you.
I would have loved to fight Jon Jones. That was the goal. I went up to 205 for one fight, fought Dominic Reyes, and then he fought Jon Jones. But if I would have got knocked out in the first round, I would have fought Jon Jones, and I would have beat his ass. But unfortunately for me, I lost, and Jon Jones ended up getting his hand raised against Dominic Reyes. And I mean, now I always wanted to fight Jon Jones, like, you know, for a long time. He was from New York. I'm from New York. You know, and we're just a weight class apart. And not because I had really any big issues with him, just because the challenge. I saw him as a challenge and someone I think I could beat. And, you know, and it would be obviously shocking to people for me to beat him. And that excited me. But obviously, it didn't work out.
Samedi soir, Chris. Vas-y, Joe.
Et Chris, comment tu vois, toi, le combat entre Ciryl Gane et Jon Jones? D'un côté, on a Ciryl qui est très très fort debout avec un striking de très haut niveau. En face, on a Jon Jones qui est connu, on connaît, hein, avec sa lutte, sa pression, etc. Toi, tu le sens comment ce combat? So, what do you think about the fight between Gane and Jones? Obviously, on one side, we have Ciryl Gane with his high level striking, his master on the feet, and against him, it's going to be Jones with his pressure, his grappling, and everything. How do you see it going?
Oh man, I could see it going one of two ways. I think either Ciryl Gane just lights him up on the feet, makes Jon Jones look super slow, like he looks like on the pads when you watch him train, and finishes him. Or Jon Jones stalks Ciryl Gane. You know, Jon Jones gets in Ciryl Gane's in his head a little bit, walks his back to the cage, and eventually gets a takedown. Times a takedown in the cage, takes him down, slowly advances position, hits big elbows, and maybe, you know, that Ciryl Gane being lazy thing starts taking some effect, and you start realizing, maybe, does he have the heart of a champion? Is he going to be able to get back up to his feet, you know, 5-6 times against a guy like Jon Jones and avoid submissions and avoid, you know, being TKO'd? You know, one of the things that Jon Jones said in a tweet, which I guess is true, is that the best wrestler Ciryl Gane has ever fought was Francis Ngannou. And, you know, Jon Jones is a better wrestler than Francis Ngannou. But Ciryl Gane is also so damn good on the feet that he turned Francis Ngannou into a wrestler. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. And, you know, Jon Jones, you know, he looks terrible in pads, in my opinion. Like, he doesn't look good. But when he gets in there with a guy, even on the feet, you know, he does kick pretty quick, and he's smart the way he mixes it all up. So it's going to be about who's confusing who in there, you know, who's leading the dance. And I'd be more shocked if Ciryl Gane, you know, beats Jon Jones than I will be if Jon Jones beats Ciryl Gane. That being said, I want Ciryl Gane to win, but I just I hope he is able to get over that obstacle. I think it's going to be more of a mental obstacle of dealing with Jon Jones.
Si Ciryl il gagne samedi soir, et nous on est forcément derrière lui parce que ce serait la plus belle victoire de l'histoire du MMA français. Il deviendra en tout cas une bien plus grande star qu'il l'est aujourd'hui, et pas qu'en France, un peu partout dans le monde. Je ne sais pas si sa vie changera ou à quel point elle changera. Mais toi, est-ce que ta vie a changé quand tu as battu Anderson Silva, parce que c'était quand même une des plus grandes stars de l'époque de l'UFC, même si c'était pas le même niveau de popularité pour ce sport à l'époque. If Ciryl wins on Saturday, he's going to become a huge star, even more in France and even in the other countries around the world. And I don't know how much his life will change, but it will change in a way. Did your life change when you beat Anderson Silva? The sport was not as huge as it is today, 10 years ago, but he was still one of the hugest stars that we had at that time. Did it change right away?
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, money-wise, I made money for the first time in my life. I, you know, made big money, and I had no money at the time, so that was crazy. You know, trying to figure out how your life changes with that. And then obviously, yeah, being recognized everywhere, that it's that was my first time really experiencing that. Just out of nowhere, you're like a celebrity, and you become the world champion. All the other celebrities want to be your friends. All the other athletes want to be your friends. There's something about being a world champion fighter, where everybody kind of wants to be a part of it. So life definitely changes.
Et la dernière question que j'avais en parallèle par rapport à ça, c'est que on a déjà dit dans cette émission que je pense, et j'en suis sûr, même si nous, on est complètement derrière Ciryl, je pense que l'UFC préférerait pour son business que Jon Jones gagne ce combat parce que c'est une plus grande star. Et je pense qu'il serait un peu déçu si Ciryl le gagnait. En tout cas, certains des patrons de l'UFC, sans doute. Même si Ciryl est un grand champion quand même. Est-ce qu'à l'époque, toi, tu as senti qu'il y avait de la déception que tu aies battu Anderson Silva et qu'ils n'aient pas pu avoir un grand fight comme les grands fights qu'on imaginait à l'époque? We said on the show already that of course we are 100% behind Ciryl here in France, but I guess that the UFC, if they could choose, they would prefer Jon Jones to win because he's one of their hugest stars and he's good for the business. Did you feel at that time, 10 years ago, that there was some disappointment that you beat Anderson Silva, maybe before he did some huge big fight that they had in mind, or that he beat another record? Did you feel it a little?
I think, I think a little bit. I think, you know what though, like when you knock out someone like that and it becomes like a viral thing that's going worldwide, you get new fans to the sport, something like that, and then you could have an immediate rematch. I think it worked out for the UFC too. They made a lot of money off those fights. That like Anderson Silva was their guy for sure, and probably they would have preferred him to win. But the way it worked out, I think it kind of worked out for everybody.
And est-ce qu'il y a eu un moment ce soir-là, après avoir battu Anderson Silva, ou je sais pas, dans la chambre en retour, ou peut-être le lendemain matin, où tu t'es quand même dit, bordel, j'ai battu Anderson Silva? Was there a time that night, the morning after that fight, I don't know, in the room, in your car, in a club, maybe?
In your shower.
Yeah, where you just stood for a few seconds and tell yourself, man, I just beat effing Anderson Silva.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling. So it was my first time really accomplishing like my major goal in life, a goal I've been set out to do for a long, long, long time. And, you put so much pressure on yourself to finally do it. The relief is amazing. But then you look at yourself in the mirror and you realize, oh, wait, nothing really changes. You're still the same old guy. And so it's like, you just got to, and then I also had to figure out new goals for myself. It was such a goal for such a long time that it's, you got to like realign yourself to, what's next? Why am I doing this? What's the next thing? So then that's the next thing as soon as you win something big like that.
Joe, tu as d'autres questions autour de Gane-Jones avant qu'on lui pose une ou deux questions grappling avant de finir?
C'est bon pour moi. Mais j'avais envie de demander à Chris par rapport, pour revenir un petit peu sur sa carrière, s'il regrette pas si ce coup de pied retourné contre Cold ne continue pas de le hanter un petit peu, et s'il regrette pas justement que Rockhold soit parti de l'UFC parce qu'il y avait un rematch qu'on n'a jamais pu avoir. Chris, I was wondering, is your biggest regret the fact that you threw the spinning kick against Rockhold, and do you regret the fact you left the UFC? Because we wanted this rematch between you.
No, I don't regret. I mean, listen, obviously, if I was to redo it, if I'm in that fight right now, I'm not throwing a spinning back kick.
You are winning the fight.
Yeah, I know. But, everything happens for a reason. And it is what it is. You can't go back and change time. So there's no point of putting any energy into thinking about that. And him leaving the UFC, I would have preferred to have a rematch with him. We were supposed to have a rematch multiple times. It didn't happen. But whatever. Who knows? Maybe one day he comes back in the UFC, or one day I'm out of the UFC. We'll see.
On sait qu'on le rappelait, Joe le rappelait tout à l'heure, tu viens de la lutte universitaire notamment avec des belles réussites dans ces années-là, et tu es rapidement passé au grappling puis au MMA. À quel point ça te fait plaisir de retourner dans un combat de grappling, puisqu'on sait que tu n'as pas participé à la DCC en 2009 avec un quart de finale dans le tournoi. Ah, voilà, à quel point ça te fait plaisir. Contre André Galvao, exactement. So Chris, we know you're coming, we said it, from wrestling, and then you went grappling and MMA, but you did the ADCC in 2009 against André Galvao in quarterfinal. How much pleasure it is for you to come back to a grappling fight 11th March in Doncaster at Polaris?
Yeah, I'm excited about it, man. It's been a long time. I didn't think the Abu Dhabis in 2009 would be the last time I grapple. And, was it 13 years later or something like that? Which is kind of crazy, a long time later. So, yeah, it's cool to go back to it. I always loved grappling. Jiu-jitsu kind of always came pretty quick to me. And I love testing myself, and I just think it's a great opportunity.
Qu'est-ce que tu penses, Chris, de l'évolution du sport? On voit que maintenant, il y a des Gordon Ryan combat sur l'UFC Fight Pass, que l'UFC Fight Pass va acheter les droits de la DCC. Tu vois ce sport arriver à grandir de plus en plus? How do you see the growth of the grappling as a sport? Gordon Ryan is not fighting on the Fight Pass. The Fight Pass is going to broadcast the ADCC. What do you think about the future of this sport?
Future's looking very bright, and you got to give Gordon Ryan a lot of credit, I think, on making that happen. By the way he acts on, social media, and the way he talks trash a little bit, and also how he just got so good at jiu-jitsu where he's dominating everybody. So it brought a lot of people's eyes to the sport. More people are training in jiu-jitsu probably than ever, and the sport's just evolving. And John Danaher, obviously being such a systematic approached teacher, when you have like stud athletes like Gordon Ryan and some of the other guys there, it's like,
Gali, Bodoni.
Yeah, you got so many guys to work with and teach, and then you get to see them go out and try all thest moves against some of the best guys in the world. I mean, you don't get much better than that. Those guys are going to be tough to beat.
Ça fait quoi qu'est-ce que c'est d'avoir Gordon sur toi? C'est quoi les sensations de ça quand tu tournes avec Gordon? C'est si impressionnant. How does it feel to have Gordon on you when you grapple? What's the feeling? Is it that impressive?
Oh, it's super impressive. He's so damn strong and so technical. He's a real problem. He's got great wrestling. He's got great jiu-jitsu. Every damn position, they just have a system that they're so confident in. They've drilled so many times that if you're not on that level of understanding the system, then they're steps ahead of you because they just know what you're going to do and they know what they're doing next. And if you're kind of just going off a feeling, you're in trouble. And so it's great. I trained with Gordon and Ryan a lot back in New York for years.
Yeah.
All those Danaher guys. So it was always great to be able to just, take the train into Renzo Gracie's and roll with those guys and get that feel. And it was good to go back into that, a few years later after, they moved to Texas and I was in South Carolina. It was good to get back with those guys.
Chris, on va te remercier beaucoup pour ton temps et pour tous ces souvenirs que tu nous as partagés de ta carrière et qui continuent. Et puis, on va te donner rendez-vous à l'UFC Paris en début d'automne contre Nassourdine Imavov.
Ah oui.
Chris, we're gonna let you go, and thanks a lot for your time and for everything that you shared with us about all those memories and your career. And we'll make an appointment in this autumn, UFC in Paris against Nassourdine Imavov. That's a deal.
What are you guys? Is this Mick Maynard on the phone? Who is this over here? Dana White, Mick Maynard?
Yeah. Exactly.
I wish for the money.
Yeah, I know. They'd probably take your job, though. They'd rather your job. But, hey, I appreciate you guys having me. Merci beaucoup.
And do you have, just before you leave, est-ce que tu peux nous donner juste ton pronostic, s'il faut donner un pronostic sur le combat de samedi? So, Chris, just before you leave, what happens this Saturday? Who do you think wins? Ciryl Gane, Jon Jones. If you have to say it,
you can say the truth. It's not because we are French media that you have to root for the French.
No, I don't know. If I knew the truth, I'd take all my money and throw it right after.
Yeah,
I don't know the truth.
What do you think?
I just my hope is that Ciryl Gane doesn't have a mental collapse in there. If he doesn't collapse mentally, then I think he puts a beating on Jon Jones. But if he collapses mentally, he's done. So I don't know. It's up to him.
Merci beaucoup, Chris. Merci pour ton temps et pour tout ça. C'était très cool. Et puis à très vite à Polaris, donc le 11 mars. Et puis pour la suite de l'aventure en MMA et à l'UFC. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Thank you, Chris. And we're seeing you at Polaris and then on the UFC. Joe, just to
vu que c'est Polaris, il faut aussi dire que la carte de Polaris, il y a un tournoi féminin avec les meilleures grappleuses féminins au monde. Donc, faut absolument pas manquer ça. Il y aura Sean Davis, Amy Campos, etc., etc. Donc, faut vraiment se connecter et regarder le combat de Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for everything.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Merci beaucoup à Chris Weidman, l'ancien champion des moyens de l'UFC, pour nous avoir accordé cette interview et ce témoignage très enrichissant sur la façon de faire chuter une légende. Et merci à Polaris, l'invitationnel, le tournoi invitationnel dans lequel il va faire un combat de grappling le 11 mars qui nous a permis de caler cette interview. Merci encore à Chris Weidman, merci Joe, merci à vous les auditeurs. N'oubliez pas de vous abonner sur toutes les plateformes pour rater aucun épisode et à très vite pour un nouveau numéro du RMC Fighter Club.